From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
It's 5 o'clock on this Friday. Good morning to you. I'm Rafael Sanchez, and here are your headlines on this August the 21st. Survey Smackdown. The city's police union details morale concerns among the men and women in blue in the Circle City. What that survey shows and how the city is responding this morning. Remote Learning Lifeline, the organization now stepping up to help kids with no internet access. How you can connect with this vital service. And time for tradition. Another popular May event due to COVID-19 that was canceled happening today at the Speedway. It is race weekend here in Indianapolis. We are so excited, but first it is time to check your forecast with our very own meteorologist, Todd Clausen. And Todd, good morning to you. As we continue to social distance, our good friend Lauren Casey is off today. Happy birthday to Lauren.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully she's spending time with the family and Archie here, and of course her husband Brooks as well, as they go throughout the course of the day. And how about that? It falls on a Friday. Perfect for her, Raphael. Long weekend for Lauren here, and that's much well deserved here, of course, as you go throughout the day today. What do you need to grab before you go as you walk out the door? Well, very similar to yesterday. You need the sunglasses. Some of you may need a light jacket here this morning, but just like the past couple days, we'll warm up very quickly. And then don't forget the sunscreen. A lot of times with the lower humidity and the slightly cooler temperatures, you can forget about the sunscreen fairly easy. 54 in Kokomo right now, 63 in Indy. Bloomington is at 58, and you can see the track all lit up there, the pylon, as we go into this carb day. And Alyssa will have more on that coming up in just a few minutes. Some clouds starting to stream north from Seymour to Greensburg. These will thin out as they come north, and will be mostly sunny here this morning, and then turning partly cloudy later on this afternoon. Your noontime temperature already up to near 80 degrees, and then as we get into the afternoon hours, slightly warmer than yesterday with a high temperature today in the mid-80s all across the area.
Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look at your morning commute right now. Let's take you to Johnson County. This camera at I-65 near the Franklin exit seems pretty busy in that area this morning. Not really sure what all those flashing lights, what's happening there. We're going to make some calls and find out for you. But as you can see, quite busy there in Franklin this morning. Also, good morning to Fishers, New Ross, and to Lebanon. New this morning, a recent survey from the Indianapolis Fraternal Order of Police that reveals that IMPD officers are at odds with both the mayor and the chief of police. 60% of IMPD officers participated in the survey, which showed that 58% do not feel they have the support of the chief. 93% do not believe they have the support from Mayor Hogsett in their day-to-day job duties. 80% do not think the department is moving in the right direction to serve the community. And 91% do not believe they are respected and valued by the mayor's administration. Now, the city did release a statement to WRTV saying in part, as a former federal prosecutor, Mayor Hogsett has always been a proponent of thoughtful investments in public safety. He has committed funding each year to grow IMPD to 1,743 officers, allowing for the return to community-based policing, which expanded this summer. As his administration has prioritized investment in less lethal options and new technology to support officers, such as body-worn cameras, all while growing funding to address the root causes of violence through millions of dollars for community-based programming. Last night, activists held a funeral procession throughout Indianapolis to remember Drejon Reed and Mikhail Rose. It's been 15 weeks since separate Metro police shootings left the two men dead. Activists stopped in front of what's believed to be the mayor's home, demanding answers and demanding justice. An IMPD officer shot and killed Drejon Reed on May the 6th during a chase on the city's northwest side. Investigators say Reed exchanged fire with the officer. Attorneys for Reed's family dispute that claim. In a separate incident, Rose was shot and killed hours later. In that case, police said that Rose may have been planning to ambush officers when they responded to a burglary call. Another protest is planned for this evening.
That's why we're here today, to get answers from the mayor. And when we say no justice, no peace, that means no peace. So we're going to continue to press for answers. We're going to continue to do what we need to do to get justice.
A special prosecutor is investigating the Reed case. And now to the latest on the COVID-19 outbreak in our state. The state's Department of Health reports that 955 new cases of the virus. And that brings the total number of cases to 83,277. Marion County has the most in the state, now surpassing 17,000 cases. 11 new deaths were also confirmed. 2,979 total COVID-19 related deaths have been reported since the pandemic began. More than 945,000 Hoosiers have been tested so far. Another central Indiana school district is making changes due to positive COVID-19 cases. Center Grove High School, Middle School Central, and Middle School North are now switching to e-learning beginning next week. After that, they will have a minimum 2 weeks on a hybrid schedule after that. So far, the district has reported 7 cases in its schools. They did not say whether those individuals were students or staff. The district says that extracurricular activities and athletics will continue as scheduled. You can find more details on our website, WRTV.com. The YMCA of Greater Indianapolis is offering help to kids who might not have the reliable internet service at home for remote learning. Now, the organization is rolling out new e-learning labs for students in grades 6 through 12th grade. The spaces are by reservation Monday through Thursday from noon until 6:30. Each time slot is 2 hours long and can be secured online. The program kicks off Monday at the Avondale Meadows, the Baxter, and the Ortho Indy Foundation location. Labs are supervised and will be available through December. The director of the CDC says southern states are turning the tide against the new cases, while the government releases a new timeline on when a vaccine could be widely available. ABC's Andrew Fujiji has the latest.
This morning, a new prediction from government health officials that a coronavirus vaccine may not be available to most people until as late as next June. It comes as positive signs start to emerge amid the pandemic. New data from Johns Hopkins University showing cases in the U.S. are on the decline for a 4th straight week. Overnight, Philadelphia announcing that restaurants can open for indoor dining with restrictions starting September 8th. And the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade will go on this year. New York City's mayor saying it'll look different, but traditions will stay the same. As the president continues to urge all schools to open, new guidelines from Policy Lab at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia that schools should only reopen in areas where positive test results are less than 5%.
Only a couple dozen of the 750 counties that we track each week would meet those criteria today.
In Los Angeles, it's day 2 of online learning for the 2nd largest school district in the country. And in Indiana, a switch to remote learning for one school district after multiple students tested positive. On college campuses, health officials say parties like this one at Syracuse University must stop. This junior at the University of Michigan, where more than a dozen students have tested positive, wants her classmates to do better.
Your choices will have repercussions.
Purdue suspended 36 students for partying. And the University of Kansas just connected dozens of new COVID cases to Greek houses on campus.
I've been feeling pretty anxious, honestly. I have really bad asthma.
In pro sports, 2 members of the New York Mets tested positive, forcing their games against the Yankees and Marlins to be postponed. Andrea Fujii, ABC News, New York.
It is Carb Day in Indianapolis. Unfortunately, no fans in the stands, but it's a great weekend, of course, for racing. Alyssa Donovan is live this morning with more on the racing tradition at the Speedway. Alyssa, good morning.
Good morning, Raphael. It's going to be a lot quieter here today. Of course, we can always hear the rev of the engines with that practice going on, but really a different scene here in Speedway today and throughout the entire weekend. We are usually seeing this as the 2nd biggest day of race weekend in Indianapolis, but that's not going to be the case this year. Here's a look at the crowd from last year's Carb Day. You can see no social distancing, of course, and this year the closest you can get is to the fence to hear the cars speeding past. Unlike years past, the exciting day will not be ending in a concert, but IMS is encouraging fans to tune in virtually to some festivities. From noon to 2 today, fans can tune in on IMS social media to see highlights from some of the most iconic Indy 500 pit stop challenges. And they are encouraging fans to have their own socially distanced porch parties. The decision to cancel traditional Carb Day festivities was a tough one, but we spoke with IMS President Doug Bowles about tuning in on race day. And there are some traditions you can look forward to when you stream or watch the race on TV this Sunday.
So the elements that you would expect that are really, really important are staying. The national anthem with the singing surgeons we're excited about. Having Jim Corneliuson back again. I texted with him last night. He is so excited about the way he can interact with our fans, and he understands the importance of back home again in Indiana and those 90 seconds that no matter where you're from, whether you're here or you're watching, you're a Hoosier for that period of time.
Roger Penske also put out a note to fans saying, "I will miss you on Sunday. Believe me, there's no one more than me who wanted fans to be able to watch the 104th running of the Indy 500 in person." And of course, you will be able to stream that live or watch it on TV, but it's not quite the same. And throughout the week, we have seen fans coming up to the fence and listening to the cars as they race, trying to get some video through the bleachers, and that's about as close as you're going to get to the action this year. Reporting live, I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
All right. Thank you, Alyssa. Unfortunately, the fans can't be there because of COVID, but the weather would have been great for it today as the skies will be mostly sunny here across the area throughout the morning hours and eventually turning partly cloudy. What about the rest of race weekend? Well, we will bring in some small rain chances tomorrow and then again on race day. Before they come out of the forecast on Monday. So the timing not great, obviously, with the weekend. We've had such terrific weather this week, with the exception of that rain Tuesday morning. And here we are now getting into a race weekend, and we have some rain chances in the forecast, but they're just very, very small rain chances. That is the good news. We'll talk more about those coming up in just a few minutes. But for the bus stop planner today, 60 as the kids head off to school, 83 as they head home. We'll talk more about that extended forecast coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
I'm a proud Democrat, and I'll be proud to carry the banner of our party into the general election.
On the final night of the Democratic National Convention, Joe Biden officially accepted the Democratic nomination for president. His speech touching on policy, touching on loss. Scripps correspondent Joe St. George has more from that celebration and what's to come in President Trump's convention coming up next week.
If you entrust me with the presidency, I will draw on the best of us, not the worst. I'll be an ally of the light, not the darkness.
Joe Biden speaks to the nation, the Democratic nominee for president, with the biggest speech of his political career.
Our current president has failed in his most basic duty to the nation. He's failed to protect us.
Biden taking on President Trump, outlining his policy position that he'd issue a nationwide mask order if elected. But the night also featured something Biden isn't afraid to talk about: loss. He spoke to those who have lost someone during this pandemic.
Your loved one may have left this earth, but they'll never leave your heart.
As a sign of the times, Biden only hugging his wife inside the hall after the speech. But both Biden and vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris went outside afterwards to greet supporters in their cars and to briefly watch fireworks, wearing masks. The final night of the virtual DNC seemed to have a little bit of everything.
30330. That would be the president's golf score if he didn't cheat.
Comedy by the moderator.
Stutter.
Emotion with the story of a young boy who, like Joe Biden, struggles with a stutter. The focus now, though, shifting to the Republicans. President Trump's convention begins on Monday. Campaign spokesman Hogan Gidley telling us they'll be ready with plenty of surprises.
We saw what the Democrats did, but that's not necessarily going to affect what we had planned to do all along. This president, if we know anything about him, he knows how to put on a production.
In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
The NAACP now suing Postmaster General Louis DeJoy and the U.S. Postal Service in D.C. federal court. That suit aims to reverse recent changes that the Postal Service announced last month that led to mail delivery delays. It alleges that DeJoy sabotaged the Postal Service to slow mail and mail-in ballots to disenfranchise voters of color. DeJoy said that Tuesday that the Postal Service would halt the changes until after the election. He is scheduled to testify before the Senate today to answer questions about that issue. The White House now declaring that teachers are essential workers. That means that teachers will get the same kind of advisories as doctors and law enforcement. It also allows them to continue working even after exposure to a confirmed COVID-19 case, as long as they're not showing symptoms. Now, the American Federation of Teachers says they're afraid that that designation could be used to bully educators. Nursing homes are still facing severe PPE shortages. A study that was published in the journal Health Affairs analyzed federal data and found no improvement from May to July in staffing levels or PPE overall. 1 in 5 nursing homes has struggled, according to the study. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid responded to the study by saying the Trump administration has provided nursing homes the tools that they need to stop the virus, but it's up to each individual facility to implement those. However, the study shows those tools were not enough for nursing homes dealing with high infection rates. The time now is 5:19 here in Central Indiana. We are going to give Todd Clausen the green flag as we head into the weekend.
Yeah, and Raphael, we're going to be running with that green flag, and we're going to be turning a lot of laps here across the weekend weather-wise, because the weather's going to cooperate. I think for the most part, there are some rain chances for the weekend, but it's nothing that's going to really hamper any activities you may have leading up to race parties at your own home, or maybe you're going to be going out to watch the race. You should be in pretty good shape here. Today, we'll start you off with your headlines and break it down by day parts. Sunny and cool this morning. Once again, temperatures are in the 50s and 60s, turning partly cloudy this afternoon, and then we're staying partly cloudy later on this evening. Temperatures right now range from 54 in Kokomo to 63 in Indy. 58's the current temperature in Bloomington right now, so we're off to a decent start. You may want a light jacket this morning, but you should be in decent shape. The one thing you do notice is you notice the cloud cover here starting to increase already across the area, lifting to the north. These are some high, thin clouds, and they're part of what's going to be the weather maker for the weekend. So you notice the rain near Atlanta is part of an area of low pressure that's just going to kind of sneak its way up towards the Ohio River Valley, and it's going to be just close enough to kind of pinwheel first some clouds and then some showers into our forecast as we get into the day tomorrow. Today, it's just mainly the cloud cover. Most of the showers should stay right along the Ohio River to our south, but 1 or 2 showers late this afternoon or early this evening could sneak into far southern locations towards Seymour, but that should be just about it today across central Indiana. With the sunshine to start the day, we warm pretty quickly through the 60s, up to 76 degrees already by 11 a.m. Our high today, that gets up to 84 degrees, so a bit warmer than it was yesterday. And then this evening, once again, if you have plans, you're just fine. Temperatures will fall back down into the mid-70s under a partly cloudy sky. Tomorrow morning, not as cool as it has been. No more 50s on the board, probably. Everybody should be in the 60s. And then throughout the day tomorrow, it will be partly cloudy as a whole, with temperatures that will be in the mid-80s, but there will be the chance of a few spotty showers as we get into Saturday and then again on a Sunday. And you can see on Saturday, the further north you are, you probably remain completely dry with more in the way of sunshine. The showers on Saturday are mainly Indianapolis to the south. They're pretty spotty. They're in the evening hours. And then on Sunday, a stray storm on Sunday for the 500. And then as we go into the rest of your 7-day planning forecast next week, Raphael, all about the heat and humidity again with highs right around 90 degrees.
Todd, it can rain all day Saturday. Sunday must be dry. We'll work on that forecast for Sunday. Let's take a live look now on the city's southwest side this morning. This is I-465 and Man Road. As you can see, light traffic there this morning. The good news on this Friday, no problems to report throughout the interstate system. A big good morning to Carmel, Cloverdale, and Canby. The Pacers need to make a comeback tomorrow after another playoff loss to the Heat yesterday. Victor Oladipo returned to the lineup after getting poked in the eye in Game 1 and leaving in the first quarter. He scored the team-high 22 points, but that was not enough. The blue and gold lost 109-100, putting them down 2 games in this series. In other news, a former Apple engineer says he was assigned to help the government develop a top-secret iPod back in 2005. In a blog post this week, David Shayer says it was for the Department of Energy. He says he's not sure why the government wanted it, but he has a theory. He says the iPod is designed could be transformed into a stealth Geiger counter and could check out the area surrounding dirty bombs or uranium while appearing to simply be enjoying some music. There you have it. A small town in Switzerland woke up to find chocolate, say what? Yeah, chocolate covering their cars and their windows. Take me there. The reason behind the candy falling from the sky right after the break. I'm paying for that trip. You're watching Good Morning Indiana on this Friday. So our forecast on this Friday is pretty good, but in Switzerland, it was cloudy with a chance of chocolate rain. Yep, chocolate was actually coming down from the sky. Take a look at this as residents posted photos of chocolate sprinkles covering cars and windows in a small town of Olten. The mystery was solved when a local chocolate company took credit. Local media report it was a result of a ventilation system malfunction at the nearby Lindt chocolate factory, which along with wind and rain spread the candy soot all over town. Now that is one place to live. That's as sweet as Todd Clausen's Friday forecast. Todd, you take it away. Wow.
That is pretty interesting, and I can tell you that chocolate's good. I was on a Swiss Air flight, and instead of giving you peanuts, they give you chocolate on the flight. And it was really good. And the forecast is good for us as well here today, Raphael. That is the good news going forward for your Friday. We start off with a good amount of sunshine, very comfortable right now with temperatures in the 60s. We'll be into the 70s though by midday, and then high temperatures today and throughout the afternoon hours will be in the low 80s with skies becoming partly cloudy. More in your weekend forecast coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Now at 5:30 on Good Morning Indiana, COVID crackdown on college campuses. The state's top universities now taking action against students not following the rules. And a May tradition in August. The big weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, though no fans in the stands. Our Alyssa Donovan is live with all the details. Welcome to Good Morning Indiana on this Friday. I'm Rafael Sanchez. Our good friend Lauren Casey has the day off. It is her birthday, so we celebrate with her. My good friend Todd Clausen continues our weather coverage. And Todd, you did not tell me how to tie a tie. Yesterday at noon, I was hoping you'd give me some tips. This is my first time back in the studio, second time back in the studio in 130 days. So I hope I'm representing you well. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks good there, Raphael. I like the orange and the blue. You got like Syracuse orange men colors going on here this morning.
That was not the goal, Todd. Todd, we support Purdue and IU, Ball State, and all Indiana schools, just to make it clear.
Yeah. I know. I know where you stand. I'm just telling you the colors. And, you know, it is a good forecast for us today, Raphael, and it's good to see you back in studio. I know I've been there a couple times when the weather warranted, but still social distancing now in the basement studio. Here's a live look at IMS, and you can see that we are dealing with quiet conditions and a real pretty shot here looking inside the track on this carb day with the pylon all lit up as we look forward to the running of the 500 here on a Sunday. 58 in Peru, 61 in Martinsville, 58 in Bloomington right now. And we have a little bit of cloud cover sneaking into southern locations, and today is not going to be that crystal clear sky like we've had the past couple days. There's definitely more clouds around. Certainly as you work your way to the south, they're a little more prevalent. But overall, I think we can call it partly cloudy, and we remain dry today with temperatures that will be a little bit warmer than we've seen as well. 78 degrees by the time we get to the noon hour with high temperatures later on this afternoon. Raphael topping off in the low to mid 80s.
Hey, Todd, thank you so much. Now let's go live to the city's west side as we check on your morning commute, and also a big good morning to Speedway, Greenfield, and Danville. Let's stay west of the city here. This is a live look at I-465 by Crawfordsville Road. As you can see, morning commute well underway. No major problems to report there or any part of the city this morning. We'll keep an eye on traffic throughout Good Morning Indiana. Developing this morning, dozens of students at IU and Purdue are facing punishment after attending large gatherings in violation of COVID-19 regulations. In West Lafayette, 36 students have been suspended following a party Wednesday night at an off-campus residence. In a statement, the university says the students violated the Protect Purdue pledge passed by the school's trustees back in May In an effort to prevent COVID outbreaks, the students can appeal. And in Bloomington, IU administrators say they're actively investigating a large off-campus student party. IU says the party violated the county and state regulations related to event size, physical distancing, and face coverings. President Michael McRobbie released a statement to students yesterday saying, in part, since the earliest days of the pandemic, you have told us that you want and value in-person, on-campus learning. That means you must follow the behaviors and actions that you agreed to by signing onto the student commitment form. You can read the full statement and follow this story right now online at WRTV.com. Meanwhile, a new study adds to the growing evidence that children and young adults may play a larger role in community spread than previously thought. The Journal of Pediatrics looked at nearly 200 young people from newborns to 22-year-olds who were hospitalized or went to urgent care. Researchers found that many carried a viral load significantly higher than hospitalized adults.
There have been some studies to show that children from 10 to 19 can transmit to adults as easily as adults transmit to adults.
Researchers also implied that schools may have to focus on testing rather than temperature checks because even asymptomatic kids could have higher levels of COVID-19. Taking a look at the latest coronavirus data from the Department of Health, the number of new COVID-19 cases up significantly, but there are fewer newly reported deaths. 955 new cases of coronavirus were reported on Thursday. That's nearly double the amount of new cases that was previously reported. The state says 11,613 more people have been tested for COVID-19. That's up from the 5,900 new tests Wednesday, which could be part of the reason why new cases spiked so much. The Department of Health confirms 11 new deaths. 2,979 Hoosiers have died since the pandemic began back in March. In total, more than 945,000 people in our state have been tested for COVID-19. 8.8% of them have tested positive. 2 IMPD officers facing criminal charges are due back in court in November after making initial appearances on Thursday. Now, after the men faced a judge, their attorney defended his clients.
These officers took action that were consistent with their police training and procedures, and more importantly, consistent with the law.
So 2 officers in this case, Jonathan Horlock and Nathaniel Shawwecker, they're charged in connection to the arrest of 2 women back in May after the city issued a curfew to curb violence that erupted after peaceful protests. The video that went viral shows officers hitting one of the women with batons and pepper bullets. The others were shoved to the ground.
Make no mistake, it is law and order that is being prosecuted today, while those who brought destruction and violence upon our city are walking free. We can and we should have important community discussion about law enforcement policies, training, and procedures. But it is wrong to prosecute these police officers when they were simply doing their best to protect our city.
Both officers face battery and official misconduct charges. Officer Horlock is also charged with perjury and obstruction of justice. The trial date has now been set for November the 16th. This young pup was named in honor of a Metro police officer who gave her life in the line of duty. Thursday, Metro Police and the Indiana Canine Assistance Network introduced Breezy, the service dog. Officer Breanne Leith was shot and killed while responding to a domestic disturbance call back in April here in Indianapolis. ICANN has named several dogs after several local law enforcement officers, fallen officers, and service members.
What we find in naming a dog in memory of someone such as Breanne is there's a lot of healing that takes place. And the dog is that little four-legged animal that brings change and hope to a lot of people, to the inmates that train the dog, and then to the clients, but also the community.
A part of ICANN's program includes training dogs like Breezy at the Indiana Women's Prison in Indianapolis. During Officer Leith's career, she worked as a correction officer at that prison. It is Carb Day in Indianapolis, and what we now know is a new normal. Our traditional May event is, of course, making an August appearance. WRTV's Alyssa Donovan joins us live this morning from the Speedway with what's going to happen today. Good morning to you, Alyssa.
Good morning, Raphael. And what's going to happen today is not much, at least for fans. Normally, we would see a line of cars heading into Speedway this morning, and the town of Speedway would be prepping for crowds and more cars to come in, traffic backups, but none of that is going to happen today. Instead, a lot of the Carb Day activities are either canceled or switched to virtual this year. And here's a look at all the crowds from last year's Carb Day back in May of 2019, and you can see why the festivities were canceled. Social distancing would have been quite a challenge. IMS is trying to keep the spirit of Carb Day alive with online festivities, encouraging people to wear their Carb Day outfits and share on social media, and telling fans to throw socially distant porch parties. Despite the cancellations and no fans at the track, some people still try to get their fix by stopping by and peeking over the fence throughout practice this week. We spoke with a fan who was here doing just that.
Pretty disappointing, but it's nice to at least hear the cars running. Just love it here. Miss it every year. I always count down the days after the race is over till the next one.
He always says, I can't believe it's a whole nother year I have to wait till I can come back here again.
And it's definitely going to be a long wait this year. Some fans have said they'll be holding their own viewing parties with limited amounts of people to at least have the camaraderie of race day that you feel when you're at the track. And Roger Penske also put out a note to fans saying that he's definitely going to miss seeing all of the crowds at the track this year. Reporting live, I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. Yeah, I wish the fans could be at the track because it's going to be such a nice day across the area. Very summer-like with temperatures climbing up into the 80s. One little difference is you're going to notice a little more in the way of cloud cover as we get into the afternoon hours today. But yesterday and also the day before, we had high temperatures right at 80 degrees. So we're about 2 to 4 degrees warmer in most locations here today for your afternoon highs. 82 in Frankfurt, 85 in Martinsville, as well as Shelbyville today. About 84 in Brazil. And as we slide down to the south, we're looking at high temperatures generally right around the 85-degree mark from Bloomington to Columbus over towards Seymour. You notice some clouds starting to stream in here already, part of a weather system that will eventually bring us some showers to the area tomorrow. We'll talk more about that weekend forecast for you coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV. The time now is 5:41. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.
But while I'll be a Democratic candidate, I will be an American president. I'll work hard for those who didn't support me, as hard for them as I did for those who did vote for me. That's the job of a president, to represent all of us, not just our base or our party. This is not a partisan moment. This must be an American moment.
Joe Biden closing out the fourth and final night of the Democratic National Convention. As we now continue our 2020 coverage here at WRTV, the former vice president officially accepted the Democratic nomination for president of the United States. Biden showcasing what kind of president he would be during a pandemic by hosting that final day of the convention as a drive-in. ABC's Ines Laquatera has the latest from Washington.
Overnight, former Vice President Biden officially accepting his party's nomination for president.
This is a life-changing election. This will determine what America is going to look like for a long, long time.
Biden laying out a detailed plan to address the COVID-19 pandemic while blasting President Trump's handling of the crisis.
Our current president has failed in his most basic duty to the nation. He's failed to protect us. He's failed to protect America. And my fellow Americans, that is unforgivable.
The virtual DNC closing out its fourth and final night with messages from his family.
We just knew that he had to run.
And people he's met on the campaign trail.
We were members of the same club. We stutter.
While also showcasing party unity. All of Biden's primary opponents now throwing their support behind their former rival.
Why the hell would we ever rehire Donald Trump for another 4 years?
Joe Biden is right. This is a contest for the soul of the nation.
President Trump hitting back, blasting the Democratic nominee while on the stump just a few miles from Biden's hometown.
He abandoned Pennsylvania.
He abandoned Scranton.
Republicans will hold their convention next week. President Trump plans to deliver his acceptance speech from the White House. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Washington.
President Trump's former advisor, Steve Bannon, now facing federal fraud charges in an alleged scam involving a fundraising campaign for the U.S.-Mexico wall. Bannon appeared in court and posted bond yesterday for federal fraud charges. He and 3 others accused of using hundreds of thousands of dollars donated to an online fundraising campaign called We Build the Wall for their own personal expenses, including cosmetic surgery, a golf cart, and payments towards a boat. He pleaded not guilty. President Trump says he knew nothing about the border wall fundraising project and did not know the people involved in it, even though some of the key allies on the board are members of our friends. Costa Rica is now welcoming back American tourists with limitations. The country is only allowing residents from 6 U.S. states to enter that Central American country. The tourism ministry eased travel restrictions to all residents of New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, and Connecticut. Now, travelers must present valid ID proving their residency in one of those states. Costa Rica's tourism minister says the country is trying to recover its tourism industry, but will only do so gradually and responsibly. Other requirements, a negative COVID-19 test, result taken 48 hours before departure, and travelers insurance. And by the way, Todd checked the temperature there in Costa Rica, a high of 66. It's going to be raining all day today. I say just stay right here in Indianapolis. The weather is way better, way better.
Yeah, you know, we're going up to 84 today with sunshine, Raphael. So I see you don't even need to go anywhere but here in central Indiana for the day today. Of course, there's the whole ocean and palm tree thing. But other than that, we're in great shape here weather-wise. Today, take a live look outside right now, IMS, where it'll be busy with the cars on the track going into Sunday with race day, but obviously very quiet, unfortunately, for this carb day. But IMS always looks good here with the pylon lit up this morning. Temperatures range from 63 in Indy, which is the warm spot, to 58 in Bloomington. 57 is the current temperature in Richmond, and the cool spot on the map this morning, Terre Haute. You're currently sitting at 54 degrees, but it's very, very comfortable once again out there this morning. But one thing you will notice over the course of the next few days is the humidity is going to start to climb a bit across the area. It's not going to ever get into that oppressive category, but with muggy conditions and into that very humid category and high temperatures eventually by next week, right around 90 degrees, it's going to start to get uncomfortable once again across the area after what has been a beautiful stretch of weather this week with lower humidity once we got through those showers early Tuesday morning. You do notice some clouds starting to stream to the north. It's part of this area of low pressure that's down to our south. And it's going to try to throw some showers back in our direction as we get into late tonight and then throughout the day tomorrow. So here's TrueCast for today. And you notice the clouds will increase across the area, but we should be mainly dry, with just the chance of a stray shower near Seymour later on this evening. So there's some high school football games later on today. They should be just fine here all across the area. Going forward in the forecast today, temperatures go from the 60s this morning already to near 80 degrees by the noon hour, and then high temperatures will be in the low 80s later on this afternoon as we turn partly cloudy this evening. It's Friday night. You may have plans. Sunset 8:32. Sunset getting earlier and earlier here with partly cloudy skies and temperatures falling back down into the 70s. So for the weekend forecast, Saturday about a 40% chance of some scattered storms, mainly in southern locations. Sunday, it's just a chance of a spot storm in the forecast. Let me go back over to TrueCast here for you on Saturday. And you notice how some of these scattered storms develop Saturday afternoon south of Indianapolis. Most of the rain will be from Indy south throughout the afternoon hours on Saturday. And then once the sun starts to set, those showers and storms will fade away. So the further north you are throughout the day tomorrow, less in the way of rain chances. 86 with that isolated storm chance as a weak front comes through on Sunday, but no widespread rain. And then 90 degrees potentially Tuesday and Wednesday with that higher humidity, which is going to put heat index values once again, Raphael, back up into the mid to upper 90s.
TK, thank you so much. A big good morning to Newcastle, Martinsville, and Greenwood. As we now take a live look as your traffic now traffic system cameras. This is I-465 and US 36 Pendleton Pike on the city's northeast side. As you can see, traffic is picking up in that area. We want to remind you to watch out for work crews throughout central Indiana that may be working on projects this morning. Google Maps is getting another facelift this year. It will be much more colorful and show you much more details. Dark green will show forests, light green will show you those grassy areas, and blue will indicate bodies of water. And down the line, Google says it plans to put more details into city streets. Now, with that update, Google Maps will show streets, sidewalks, and pedestrian islands more clearly. Maps was already redesigned in February when the site marked its 15th birthday. Taco Bell has unveiled its newest restaurant design, and it's perfect for maintaining social distancing. The fast food chain is pushing its mobile ordering service and drive-through. It's also cutting back on dining room seating and adding a second drive-through lane dedicated to pick up orders made on its app. The app Go Mobile is set to roll out next year. The new design and mobile ordering system is in response to how customers have changed the way they order food during this pandemic. An NYPD officer gets the surprise of his life when his son comes home early from deployment. Up next, how his fellow brothers and sisters in blue helped pull off this emotional reunion, something that you have to see on this Friday, right here on Good Morning Indiana. So have you seen this story? These stories never get old to tell. A returning soldier surprises his dad with an early homecoming. You see, Sergeant Harold Murphy is an NYPD officer. He was called back to his precinct to help greet a so-called special visitor. Who could it be? Murphy joined the line of officers to greet the VIP, and much to his surprise, yeah, there it is. It turned out to be his son, the hug, Officer Ryan Murphy. Ryan has been in Afghanistan all year, serving as a sergeant with the U.S. Army. He was scheduled to be there for several more weeks, but was able to come home early. What a reunion, a lot of love there. And of course, a lot of love for Todd Clausen, who has a really good Friday forecast. Good morning, TK.
Yeah, Raphael, always good to see those stories, as you mentioned, in the forecast today. It's nice as well, as temperatures will be climbing up eventually into the 80s this morning. Right now, we are sitting in the 50s and 60s with radar that is nice and quiet. Going forward in this forecast, as we go into the next few days, we'll have better chances of some storms, but today, partly cloudy skies and a high temperature of 84 degrees. The time now is 5:57. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes right here on Good Morning Indiana.